Dear Aries, there's something you've never really noticed, but it's always been there, like a breeze brushing the back of your neck, or a heartbeat syncing with yours from somewhere you can't quite place. It's the gaze, not just one, but many, silent, patient, unshakably drawn to you. They've been watching you from far enough to stay hidden, but close enough to read the slightest shift in your eyes, your voice, your silence, and you wouldn't believe it. If I told you whose eyes they are, you might think you've been living a quiet, ordinary life, that no one's really paying attention. But the truth is, every step you take, every time you turn away, every sigh you try to swallow is being heard, seen, felt, whispered about, in places you've never walked into. Someone who once laughed with you, someone who said they were done, someone you thought was long gone. They never stopped watching you, and you know it. Your heart has always known, but you keep pretending not to see. Because you're strong, aren't you, Aries? You always act like you're okay. You keep moving, keep fighting, keep shining, but at some point, you'll have to look back, not to fall apart, but to understand that your light was never invisible, that you've always been the one they couldn't stop watching. Someone has been holding onto your image, not just in their phone, but in their memory, in the places even they couldn't erase. When they sit with friends, they pull up a picture of you. They say, "Look at this, there's something in her eyes, something I just can't forget." And the whole room goes quiet. No one says a word, but everyone feels it. There's something about you, unexplainable, a kind of energy that makes even strangers pause, just long enough to admit you're unlike anyone they've ever known. Aries, you thought you were just a person, but to someone out there, you're the entire universe, somewhere else. In a room you're not in, 3 voices speak your name. One says, "She's special. I don't think anyone can ever reach her." Another whispers, "There's something dangerous about her, like fire, beautiful, but it could burn everything down." And the third doesn't say much, just closes their eyes and says one thing, "If she ever comes back, our whole world will change." They don't know you can hear them, but your soul does. Aries, listen closely. Not every gaze is filled with love. Some carry envy, some hold admiration, and some carry both. People don't envy what they don't understand. They envy because they know you're living a truth they're too afraid to face. You're not just a flame, you're living proof that someone can fall, get betrayed, lose everything, and still rise. With eyes that burn even brighter. You are resilience, a heart that keeps beating even after it's been broken, a faith that doesn't need to be explained because people feel it the moment they are near you, and that's why they can't stop talking about you. They can't stop watching you. They can't stop wondering, do you know who you really are now? A truth is about to come to light. Something has been planned. Something has been hidden, but not for much longer. Do you feel it, that pressure in the air? That silence, getting heavier by the second. Your intuition speaks. Your chest tightens for no reason, and your mind goes quiet, as if trying to listen to something being whispered behind the veil. It's not in your imagination. They're getting ready to say what you've suspected all along, and when the truth comes out, there will be no turning back. Stay with me until the very end, because soon all the pieces will come together. Every gaze will finally have a name, and you'll understand why. Some people who once walked away never truly let go of you. It's not because you were perfect. It's because you dared to be real, because you never needed anyone's approval to know your worth. You've learned how to stand in the light without hiding your shadows. If you're still here, still listening, I want you to know you're no longer just the one receiving this message. You're the one awakening. Every time you choose yourself, every time you respond with grace, not hurt, you're taking another step in your soul's evolution. And if this message has touched something in you, leave one sentence in the comments. I am ready to receive the destiny I deserve. Write it not for me, but for you, because the moment you write it, the energy starts to move. The universe is listening, and that gaze is still watching you. Dear Aries, something is stirring in the air, like the universe is whispering a secret you've always sensed, but never quite named. You think you're just going through your ordinary life, but long ago you became a rare frequency, one that leaves a mark on anyone who crosses your path. Something is happening behind your back, and you feel it, don't you? That cold rush down your spine. The stillness in the room when you walk in. The way eyes dart away, but not fast enough to hide their surprise. Something has been set in motion, and it has everything to do with you. Many people have been speaking your name, but none of them are brave enough to say it to your face. They whisper, they pass your photo around, not to mock you, but because they can't understand how. You keep shining through it all while they remain stuck. And the one who will shock you most was there from the beginning. Someone you trusted, someone you thought was pure-hearted, someone you once confided in like a companion on the journey. But now, you'll find out they were the one who started the conversation. They shared your image, they asked around, they studied reactions, not because they hated you, but because they couldn't understand how you emerged from the wreckage. Glowing, they thought you didn't know, but your soul remembered everything because energy never lies. You felt it that something was off. You asked yourself why they acted differently, why being around them no longer felt easy. It wasn't just in your head, and what's about to be revealed will make you see them differently forever. Behind the curtain, 3 voices speak truths that were never meant to be said aloud. One says, she's too powerful to ignore. There's something about her that makes me admire her and fear her at the same time. The second voice whispers, that light, it's too much. It makes people see what they've been missing. And the third places a hand over their heart, takes a deep breath, and says, I can't stop watching her. There's something about her that defies logic. And that is you, Aries. You're not trying to draw attention, but you can't help it. You're not trying to make anyone feel small, but your authenticity shakes loose the walls they built to protect themselves. So no, they're not watching you because you're weak. They're watching because you make them feel something true about themselves, about the truth they've been avoiding, about a path they haven't had the courage to start. Behind a half-closed door, something is being pulled into the light. They've passed your photo around not as a joke, but as a symbol. Some desire you, some are confused by you, some are afraid, but all of them can't look away. And now, as you stand before the truth, you'll finally understand not everyone is meant to walk in the light with you, but your light was never meant to shrink to make others comfortable. You might ask yourself, why me? Why does all this attention, good and bad, always seem to find its way to you? Why does your presence stir such strong reactions in others? The answer is simple. You carry a kind of light that can't be faked. A raw, untamed energy that can't be controlled, only respected. And that makes you a living reminder that you don't need to be perfect, you just need to be real. Now you know they're not just watching, they're weighing, measuring, hesitating, and getting ready to speak. The one you trusted most, the one you once called a friend, is holding the biggest secret about you. And when they finally speak, the truth will ring out like a bell that can't be unrung. You won't be the same, and they won't be able to wear the mask any longer. Aries, listen closely, because the truth is no longer something to fear. It's something you deserve to know. It's your liberation. When the final gaze is revealed, when the last secret is spoken, you'll finally understand. Being watched was never a curse. It was a sign that your soul was always vibrating at its true frequency. And if you're still listening, leave a comment below. I am ready to face the truth that belongs to me. Write it to transform. Write it to declare that you no longer fear being seen. Because you, yes, you, are the one chosen to light the path that others only dare to watch from afar. Aries, it's time. The final gaze must be revealed. The one hiding behind the curtain can no longer hold the role, and the last voice is trembling, ready to confess the truth you've always sensed, but never had confirmed. When 3 voices rise, destiny shifts. One gasps, one burns with envy, and one whispers as if kneeling before fate, not knowing why, but knowing deep down you were the one chosen, not chosen to be adored, but marked to awaken a generation. Even when you're not there, they feel your presence. They remember how the air changed when you walked into the room. The silence, the gaze that lingered, the heavy stillness that made everyone swallow their words. Even a blurry photo of you, a candid glance, a forgotten video, it's enough to make the whole room hold its breath. The one who shared that image can't hold it in anymore. She's carried it too long, until admiration turned into anxiety and a desperate need to be seen. Do you know why they needed others' opinions? Because they couldn't understand you. They needed someone to confirm whether your light was real or just something they imagined. And when they heard the answers, when they saw strangers get moved by you too, they realized it wasn't personal anymore. It was the truth. A truth they couldn't touch but couldn't look away from. You stirred something in them, something they buried, something they never believed they deserved. Your presence is like sunlight slipping through a locked window. It doesn't ask permission, it just arrives. Aries, you're not being watched because you're weak. You're being watched because you are a mirror of truth. And not everyone is ready to face it. The one you trusted most, is the one who placed you on destiny's scale. That smile you thought it was harmless. That gentle question you mistook for care. But now you see, behind the sweetness was a script, a carefully crafted scene to watch how others reacted to your light, and you can no longer pretend you don't see it. 3 voices, like the 3 gates of destiny, have opened. One whispered, "She's unforgettable, a soul no one can replace." Another clenched their teeth, "I can't stand how the universe always seems to favor her." And the third, soft but heavier than any curse, "You were marked since birth to awaken the souls still asleep." And in that moment, the one holding your image trembled, not out of fear of you, but because they knew you are the beginning of an ending. You are living proof that no one can stop a soul who's ready to rise. Every glance, every whisper, every silence was never random. They were signs that you are on the right path, that whether they admire you or envy you, they've all recognized you. And now, no mask can stay on any longer. The one you never suspected has brought your name to the world, not to harm you, but because they couldn't contain the admiration that twisted into jealousy. And when they finally confess that they've been watching you all this time, you won't be angry anymore, because you'll understand, not everyone is strong enough to stand in the light. But you did, alone. Picture it, their voice trembling, cracking. They say your name like a prayer, no longer to control, but to beg for forgiveness, because now they see you were never the one who had to prove anything. You were always ahead of your time. Aries, you were marked by an angel, not to be loved easily, but to lead, not to be protected, but to carve paths through darkness, not to please, but to become the light your soul was promised from the beginning. And if you're still here, even at this final moment, leave a comment below. I am ready to step into my soul's true role. This isn't just a sentence, it's a vow, because from this moment on, the universe is no longer whispering. It is waiting for your answer. Aries, beloved one. From the very first moment, I told you there were eyes that never left you. But you didn't know. They weren't watching out of curiosity. They were watching out of longing, out of awe, out of love too deep for words, and out of fear that you've already stepped fully into your divine role. Your light doesn't just illuminate, it exposes. It forces others to see their true reflection. It shakes loose the hidden layers they're still avoiding. And because of that, they love you. And they fear you. They can't bear the fact that your presence is truth, because real light never asks permission to be seen. And then, destiny knocks 3 times. One trembles in shock, one burns with envy, and one bows their head in surrender, admitting that you were marked for something beyond human understanding. That bell was never coincidence, it was the call. The signal that the final mask is about to fall. The one who carried your image from table to table didn't do it for fun. They were looking for answers. They wanted to know, were they the only one who felt you were different? And when the responses echoed back, when every person felt something just by seeing you, they realized what they held wasn't just a photo, it was a portal, a testimony, a silent confession of what they never dared to say aloud. When your light turns on, darkness has nowhere left to hide. You made them realize they couldn't deny what they had already felt. They couldn't pretend they didn't see you. They couldn't escape the truth. You are the uncontrollable variable. Aries, you don't need to speak. You don't need to enter the room. You don't need to prove anything. Your presence alone shifts the atmosphere. Whispers dissolve. Laughter cracks, and a sacred silence fills the space, where every soul is forced to face their own shadow. This is no longer a story. It's a prophecy that needs no altar. You've unknowingly triggered a cosmic dialogue. You've awakened something they can no longer suppress. The first voice speaks. She's unforgettable, like my soul met hers long before I ever learned to love. The second clenches their hands. I can't stand how the universe seems to favor her, but I can't bear not seeing her either. The third doesn't need to speak, just closes their eyes and lets it ring out like a cathedral bell. She has been set apart, chosen, assigned to something far beyond us. And you know what, Aries? You've always known. The weight behind your shoulders, the strange hush when you pass by, the dreams that never quite take form, they were all signs that you are walking the right path. You're not being watched because you're weak. You're being watched because you carry the map they lost. And now, one of them is about to confess everything. The one you once called friend. The one you thought was neutral. The one whose smile made you feel safe. They were never neutral. They watched your every move. They whispered to others, "Do you see what I see?" And when the truth is finally spoken, you won't look at them the same way again, not because of resentment, but because of understanding. Because sometimes admiration turns into silence. Affection fades into stillness, and love, when it lacks courage, puts on the mask of jealousy. And this is the final movement of your astrological symphony. Not an ending, but a beginning. That person will finally speak your name, not to control you, but because they need you to know that you changed them. And when your name rings out one last time, every wall will fall. Every distance will blur, and what's left is just truth. You no longer have to fight for recognition. Your presence is the declaration. The path you walk is the map they're scrambling to redraw. And your soul is a light that cannot be dimmed. If you're still here listening to the very end, leave a comment below that says, "I am ready to live in the truth of my light," not so someone else can see you, but so you can step fully into the role the universe has been reserving just for you. Until now, we've crossed a threshold. Child of light, from here every whisper has turned into confirmation. Every doubt has matured into clarity. The story is no longer a premonition, it's a movement that can't be delayed. And then, the name you never expected. The one you used to call friend, the one whose shoulder you leaned on, whose laughter felt safe, whose presence once felt like home, they will rise. Not from guilt, not from shame, not from weakness, but because truth, once fully formed, becomes too heavy for silence to carry. You'll catch a glance when you never noticed before, a fleeting look, a casual line from long ago, a message you once thought was meaningless. But now it all carries weight, a heartbeat out of rhythm. A silence that cuts too sharp, a gesture that wasn't random after all. And you'll know, even if they never say your name out loud, their soul has been searching for you in silence. There will be no speeches, no fireworks, just one trembling sentence. "I need to tell you something." It won't rush, it won't demand, it won't justify, it will simply be truthful, shaking. A release from someone who couldn't bear the silence any longer. And you, Aries, will suddenly remember every signal. The conversation that died when you entered the room, the laughter that clipped too quickly, the photo that got passed around without your consent, the awkward pause when your name was mentioned. You once thought, maybe it's just in my head. But no, my dear, that was a message. The universe was sending you a map written in the language of intuition. This truth isn't here to destroy, it's here to reveal. It doesn't roar, it doesn't demand revenge, it doesn't accuse. It arrives like winter sunlight, where even the frost doesn't know if it should melt in joy or hide in fear of being seen. They feared you, not because you were frightening, but because your light made them see themselves. That's why they sought validation, why they hesitated. They believed the answer lived somewhere outside of them. But this moment right here reveals the truth has always been inside their chest. And you might wonder, what about the others? The ones who averted their eyes, the unspoken rumors, the ones who wrapped admiration in layers of criticism. Let them go. Don't chase those who weren't brave enough to tremble. Listen only to those who dared to shake. Because that trembling is not weakness. It's the soul's baptism, when light enters the room. And now, Aries, it's time to speak about your next step. You don't need to explain, you don't need to defend, you don't need to fight. You only need two things: a heart wide open, and boundaries that do not bend. Open so you can receive love without dragging the debris of betrayal. Boundaried to tell the difference between admiration and manipulation, between longing and control, between truth and illusion. And when you finally say softly, "Thank you for telling me the truth," that will be the moment you reset the gravity. You don't need to shout, you only need to stand steady like a pillar in the storm of someone else's emotions. When the confession is finally spoken, the room will shift. The air will feel lighter. Invisible chairs will scoot back. What isn't real will fall away. What is still alive will move forward. And you'll find yourself standing in a space unlike any you've known. That space is not a promise, it's a position, assigned to you since the moment your soul was seeded into this world. You'll recognize it, because in that space there is no rush, only soft light, only certainty, only the steady breath of someone who knows they don't need to win by force. And you'll ask yourself, will names be called? Will there be a clear acknowledgement? Let me tell you, as someone who's lived many lives, yes, but not in the way you expect. Not in human language, but in signs only a mature heart can understand. The photo that got passed around, the judgment repeated 3 times, that weight on your chest, the way your heart pinched for no reason, all of it was the soul's language. And now you're finally ready to hear it. Aries, you've learned how to nod without naivety. and to say no without bitterness. And because of that, you are ready. At the final point of convergence, you'll hear a line, soft but true. I can't stop looking at you. Don't dismiss it. Inside that sentence lives sleepless nights, quiet prayers, clumsy devotion, real feeling. It is the soul knocking on the door of your heart, and the door will open, not for you to exit, but for you to enter, to step into your true role, into the place this world is still learning how to value. Leave a comment below. I have stepped into the space my soul was destined for, not for others to witness, but for you to confirm to yourself you no longer fear being seen, because now you know true light never needs approval. It only needs divine timing. Dear Aries, your presence was never a threat to tradition. It was always an invitation for others around you to grow up, to be brave, to be honest with themselves. Love, when it is truly love, does not hide. It doesn't need secrets to survive. It doesn't need games to endure. Now, you can finally look each other in the eyes. No masks, no roles, no more pretending who cares first. Are there still wounds left behind? Of course, but they no longer startle you. The times your name was spoken when you weren't there. The photos passed around. The feeling of being displayed across unfamiliar tables. It once felt like a violation, but today you've crossed that bridge. Not because the world apologized, but because you've grown enough to understand. Dignity isn't found in avoiding pain. It's found in staying grounded when pain comes to test your direction, and when a trembling hand finally reaches toward you and says, I'm sorry I didn't have the courage to say it before. You will look at them without bitterness. If you forgive, that is love. If you walk away, that is clarity. Either way, you are still the light, and nothing can ever take that away. Before we close this chapter, remember the 3 truths destiny left behind for you. 1 says you are unforgettable. 1 says others tremble before your light. 1 says heaven carved a mark upon your forehead, and no, you cannot deny it anymore. These truths don't need to be adorned. They ask for no pride. They invite you into the sacred territory of gratitude. Gratitude to keep you humble when your light blazes too brightly, and conscience to keep you free from the control of others. Now, as we stand at the threshold between old and new, I want to give you one final instruction. Don't rush to name anyone. Don't demand a confession. True love doesn't arrive on command. Whoever is meant to enter your life will show up through action, not declaration. And you will know them, no guessing needed. No more hiding, dear one. Everything is clear now. The ones who should have protected your innocence have instead revealed the shadow within themselves. Set the table as if you are inviting them to a celebration, not to return, but to witness you living out your soul's sacred work. No need to raise your voice. No need to close any doors. Your stillness is enough for all truths to reveal themselves. And when they do arrive, they'll meet a new version of Aries. A soul who chose not to carry anger alongside their light. A person who no longer needs to be understood to keep shining. A presence who no longer waits for agreement to know they are in the right place. You don't have to prove anything anymore. They'll look at you and realize whether they're ready to grow or if they still need to stand back a little longer. And you will no longer fear either answer, because you've learned the most sacred lesson. True love will never charge a price you can't afford. And true destiny will arrive right on time, never too early, never too late. So now let's walk into an ending, which is really a beginning. The person you least expected will finally whisper the words they've held back for far too long. I can't stop looking at you. Not because they own you, but because you've shaken everything they thought was certain. And for the first time, you will hear that confession with a heart that has been purified. Not because you don't care, but because now you understand. True love doesn't ask to be held. It only asks to be received or released with a genuine blessing. And yes, there will be a great rearranging. Old friendships might return in new form. No more hiding, no more rushed labels. Only sincerity eye to eye. No more photos behind your back. No more whispers through borrowed mouths. Only presence that is seen, that is kept, that is honored. And if you've made it here with me, Aries, you have walked through the hallway of destiny. You have heard what you needed to hear. You have felt all that your heart came to feel. And now you've learned this. Light cannot be negotiated behind closed doors, and your worth, it was never decided by the approval of any room. So now choose, but choose slowly. If you say yes, smile. If you say no, stay silent but steady. If you choose to wait a little longer, trust this. What is meant for you won't leave you just because you need a little more time. The thread is tied, the fabric is woven, and the door is open, not for you to end, but for you to begin to live as a soul marked by greatness. If this message moved something inside you, if it found you at the right moment with the right words, leave a comment below. I am ready to step into the space my soul was destined for. And if you're ready to keep walking this journey, subscribe, stay with me. We'll continue forward when destiny calls your name once again.